Buongiorno, everyone. How are the lads? How are the lads? Eddie Howe is the new manager, head coach, if you want to be technical about it, of Newcastle United, of Amanda Staveley, PIF, Saudi Mags. 2.5-year deal for Mr. Eddie Howe. We'll look into the club website in a minute, see exactly what was said. Still not much more than earlier on, to be honest, and still no word on when the official press conference will be or anything like that, really. Word is that Eddie Howe, he's not even here. He's not even in Newcastle, apparently. Keith Downey was saying before that he's going to be here tomorrow and he's going to be at the training ground tomorrow to meet the players for the very first time tomorrow. So nice to see that they're actually training during the national break. No bloody days off, no flights to Portugal, no pissing around on the training ground. That's what I like to see, Eddie Howe. That's what I like to see. Hard work, straight off the beaten track. And to be fair, I was watching a little documentary with Eddie Howe and he was saying how he gets into training at 6 o'clock every morning. 6 o'clock every morning, obviously way before the players get there. And he stays late in the evening. So he's a grafter. He's dedicated. We're going to get hard work. So that's class to see, to be honest, because we've had managers like Bruce who just, for someone that was maybe a boyhood fan and everything, for someone that didn't put any work in or anything to try and improve the team, to barely be at the training ground, to take days off, to give players light. That's why all the players loved him. That's why St. Maximin gave out nice posts when he left, because his favourite supply teacher is when. You know what I mean? Remember, he used to go into class and there's a supply teacher there. You walked into science, supply teacher's there, the real teacher's at home sick, and you're like, oh, it's just going to be a nice and easy one today. That was St. Maximin everybody training session, getting away with murder. Well, not anymore. Not anymore, sunshine, because the real teacher, the real man is back, and it's Eddie Howe, and he will be drilling into these players, like Sir John Joe Shelby and St. Maximin are going to shit the pants, because this is a manager that demands hard work, intensity, pressing, and I cannot wait to see it, to be honest. I'm actually getting excited now with Eddie Howe because of the things I've watched on him, his philosophy, his style of play, what he demands from his players. I cannot wait to actually watch Newcastle press in a game of football and have possession over 22%. It's going to be unreal. It's going to be unreal. It's going to be a delight to actually see that for a change. But he's been announced today. We'll jump into what you are saying soon, and I've got a very special guest coming on. Yep, Eddie Howe. No, it's not Eddie Howe. It's not Eddie Howe. It's Rubenstein. Rubenstein's coming on in about 10 minutes or so. So we'll see what he's got to say about the Eddie Howe appointment, and we'll see what you've got to say. I'll jump into your comments as the stream goes on. We'll just have fun with this one and see where it takes us. We're going to jump into the screen share now. So let's just sort that right out. I don't know why it's fucking doing that, bastards. Bear with us 1 second. There's a sort this screen share out, so we can have a look exactly what's being said. So you don't have to just take my word for it. You can see for your own eyes. There we go. Lovely stuff. Let's just get that up to make sure it is working. Well, see what you can see. There we go on the Newcastle website. Obviously, Eddie Howe. We got nicely teased by it on Twitter right before that it was officially announced. With the how's your Monday going, which is good stuff there. Good work by the Edmund. So there it is. Confirmed as Magpies' new head coach. There he is back in 2019, I believe. Bournemouth boss at St. James's Park. Can't remember what the score was that game. Remind us what the score was in the comments. Did we get beat 2-1? Or did we draw? I remember the brilliant goal they scored from the set piece where it was a run to the front post and it was laid off to Harry Wilson. He fired it home. We can look forward to seeing that as well, because we now have a head coach that believes in tactics, believes in formations, and believes in set pieces as well, trying to score goals from things that are worked on the training ground, not by just absolute fluke, by passing it to St. Maximin and hoping something happens. So Newcastle are delighted to confirm the appointment of Eddie Howe until summer 2024. Look at that, only 43 years old. Eddie Howe, you've really got to remember how young he is. He was the youngest manager in Football League history when he first took over Bournemouth at 31 years old. I mean, that's mad to be a manager at 31 years old. Obviously, his playing career was cut short. That's why he got into management at that young age. But now 43 years old to be at the richest club in the world. Not too shabby, not too shabby. And what he's achieved so far, manager of the decade in 2015, the unreal job he did from taking Bournemouth to League Two to the Premier League. So he's achieved quite a bit already. At 43 years old, he's got more Manager of the Month awards than ex-manager Steve Bruce, who, how old is Bruce? 60 odd? 70? He's not 70, 60 odd, being, 1,000 games? How is that a few hundred games? So that says all you need to know about the improvement that we've got already and the style of play. So there we go. 300 appearances as a player. Blah, blah. You're just going to read this if you just listen to me as well. What Eddie said. Eddie said it's a great honour to become head coach of a club of the stature and history of Newcastle. A very proud day for him and his family. It's a wonderful opportunity, but there's a lot of hard work ahead of us. And I'm eager to get on the training ground to start working with the players. At least he's real about it. At least he's admitting how much of a bloody hard job it's going to be. He's coming across well again, coming across honest again. And like I say, there's some brilliant videos on YouTube with Eddie Howe and his mindset and the way he goes about his business. So there he's saying a lot of hard work ahead. Wonderful opportunity. Grateful for it. Proud for it. And as I said at the start of the stream, he will be at the training ground tomorrow to take his first training session already. So he isn't messing about. He isn't wasting time. He's going to be meticulous. We know that from listening to people that have worked with him in the past. Callum Wilson was asked one word to describe Eddie Howe, and he said wanker. No, he didn't really. He said tactical. So it's good job that we're getting a manager now that believes in tactics and can utilise them. And, him and Wilson had a brilliant relationship at Bournemouth. Should be on the cards tonight, really, shouldn't it? But, it's a Monday. Calming down. And he says he'd like to thank the club owners for this opportunity, thank the club supporters for the incredible welcome they have already given me. And he's very excited to begin our journey together. Let us know if you are excited. I mean, I'm feeling a bit more excited now, to be honest. I am. What did the lovely Stavely say? She said, we've been incredibly impressed by Eddie through what has been a rigorous recruitment process, in which it definitely has, with obviously Unai Emery being the number one choice and Fonseca being interviewed and many others. But this is the case all the time. Aston Villa searching for a new manager now, and they're already putting in place 4 or 5 interviews this week with different managers, like Martinez, Gerrard, Hassan Hutel, and that. So this is the way it works. It's just ours got leaked a little bit with the Emery news, didn't it? Whoever the fuck that was needs sorting out. She says, Amanda Stavely on Eddie, that obviously his achievement for the Bournemouth, where he had transformational impact, is obvious, but he's a passionate and dynamic coach who has clear ideas about taking this team and club forward. So obviously, as reported on Sky Sports, Eddie really impressed in the interviews as he let out a detailed plan of what he believes the club should be doing, how it can move forward, what they're doing wrong, what they could do better. Agreed that we should be better than 19th and we should be fighting higher at the table and we should be playing better football. So everything you want to hear. But he is very meticulous in his work, like of what I've researched on him and read about him and looked at the videos online and stuff. He is very much like that. And it's good to see his passion, and he uses the word obsession in a lot of these things that I've watched. He's very obsessed with his job. He says it takes over his life, maybe a bit much than it should. He said with his family time and stuff, that's why he had a good 15 months off. And obviously COVID stopped him from taking other job opportunities. He was close to going to Celtic, but didn't work out. But I think we've got a man who is going to be very aimed and ambitious of getting us out of this trouble first and foremost, which is exactly what we need. Maybe it does fit better than Emery. I mean, how Emery would fare in a relegation battle, I don't know. No one knows until it's done. But Eddie Howe, obviously 4 out of 5 successful attempts at relegation battles at Bournemouth. 5 years in the Premier League. The last year, obviously, taking them down. But before that, he obviously did keep them up for 4 years straight, massively overachieving with Bournemouth, hit the ceiling with Bournemouth, really, and was riddled by injuries, and actually only got relegated by 1 point on the last day of the season when Bournemouth went down, and that was because there was no VAR. If VAR was in place, we'd have seen the goal at Villa disallowed, and Villa would have went down and Bournemouth would have actually stayed up, and who knows what would happen from there. But, he's impressed a lot throughout his years in the Premier League. This was a man that was talked about getting the Arsenal job, the England job, things like that just a few years ago. His style of play, his philosophy, everything was impressing everyone. And I think people are sleeping on him a bit for that, because all people are doing is looking at the relegation. What's the last thing he did? Relegated with Bournemouth, riddled with injuries. And, all these things. I mean, I put a tweet out last night. Look at David Moyes. David Moyes was relegated. And now look at Moyes. Moyes. Moyes' third in the league now with the West Ham team that he took over in the relegation zone. And a couple of years later, he only went on a short-term contract as well, 6 months. And he got given the job full-time after going and then coming back. And he's guided them to third in the Premier League so far. You know, looks like they're going to get the knockout stages of the Europa League. They're in Europe. I think they're still in the League Cup, aren't they, in the quarterfinals? So the things he's doing there, Jurgen Klopp got relegated with Mainz. Rafa got relegated with us. Obviously, that was a bit late in the day. Not many games to salvage it. But there's many managers that have been relegated and bounced back. So I wouldn't hold that against him. I want to be positive. I think it's a great time for the appointment, international break. 2 weeks for him to work with these lads now and get a style of play as well as he can in those 10 days to 2 weeks implemented on the training pitch with his style going forward against Brentford. That Brentford game at home is absolutely gigantic. I mean, next Saturday, a week on Saturday against Brentford at home. He's came in at a good time though. Brentford at home, Arsenal away. Obviously, that's going to be a tricky one, but I might actually see we try and win at the Emirates. Every time I've been to the Emirates, even in the Rafa, all it seemed to be was let them have the ball and try and not concede as many goals as possible, even when Arsenal weren't the great Arsenal side of old. You know, we've missed big chances at the Emirates in recent years and still went on to get beat 3-4-0. So even when we go to the Emirates, places like that, Eddie Howe, direct quote, is I go into a game trying to win it, not trying how to not lose it. Whereas with Rafa and Bruce, when you went to these big teams especially, it was always, how do we not lose today? How do we get a 0-0? How do we stay in the game and try and nick a 1-0? We'll go to the Emirates and probably draw 3-3, 4-4 again. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of thing that's exciting. I'd rather go to the Emirates and play for 3-3 or get beat 3-2 than sit back and eventually get beat 1-2-0. So Brentford is a must-win. Arsenal, I don't know, they're on very good form at the minute, unbeaten in 2 months. And then a massive, massive week where we're playing Norwich and Burnley in the space of a few days at St. James's Park before then the deadly December fixture. So it's good that he's got a couple of weeks to work with the lads now, get his formation in place, find out what he wants to do. Finishing off the statement, he's a great fit for what we're trying to build here. We welcome Eddie and his staff to St. James's. We're still waiting to tie up the deal for the backroom staff. Manus Davies still waiting to get that over the line with the likes of Jason Tyndall and the other backroom staff that he's bringing in. And like we see there at the bottom, further announcements on Eddie's first official press conference and the coaches' appointments will follow in due course. So there's a fact file on Eddie Howe there, which I'll let you read in your own leisure, if that's what you wish to do, because we don't want to do that the whole time. See, there's nothing else. Nothing else has even been put out there. I mean, Amanda Slavely said a little bit there, but yeah, that's it really. There's not much else out there. There's not much else going on for stuff on Eddie Howe yet. Maybe we'll hear more tomorrow where he is in Newcastle and he will be taking his first training session. I'll take a breather and I'll introduce Rubenstein, who's backstage waiting for his thoughts on this appointment. Keep your comments coming in. We'll try and get them in as the stream goes on. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm not bad, mate. I'm happy with finally getting a new manager in after a couple of weeks waiting. So I'm not too bad. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, mate. I'm good. It is nice, and it feels like a relief, to be honest. Just like, I mean, I think everyone is fully behind Eddie Howe now, but last week when everyone was on Emery and stuff like that, but I think now everyone's just glad that it's over. Glad that there's no more speculation that, he's been interviewed. It's going to be Fonseca. It's going to be Favre. It's going to be bloody Derek Chisora. Do you know what I mean? Who's it going to be next? I mean, it's a different name every day of the week. So now that it's done, now can we look forward? Are you looking forward? Are you excited for Eddie Howe?
I am excited, mate. When the takeover went through and everyone had that huge buzz for the first game back at Spurs, I almost feel a little bit like that again, because again, although the takeover went through and everyone was elated by it, we were still waiting on a manager. We had Graham Jones come in. I think now that we've got the manager, it's almost like after this international break, and I think you've got to look at it this way as a Newcastle fan, to be honest, because we've been so bad up to now. You've got to look at it as a fresh start, like almost as if the season starts now. The changes have been made. We've finally got the manager, and I'm praying to God that we can beat Brentford, because that's the start. That's the new fresh start if we need. I really will be quite upset if we lose that, because then it's straight away, oh God, here we go again. I want to kick off straight away 3 points against promoted Brentford side who lost to Norwich. They gave them their first win. I think at St. James's, Eddie's Howe's got 2 weeks to work with them. Yeah, it's got to be a win.
It really has. It really has got to be a win, and we don't want to put the pressure on too much on Howe already, but there is going to be a huge expectation on that day already, isn't there?
There is, mate. Again, as I say, it's still early in the season, and I always hate talking about 6-pointers and must wins, because there is another way. If we don't beat Brentford, it isn't over. But you're looking at the next 4 games in a row, and I know you've just rattled them off there, but playing. I know one of them's Arsenal, so I don't expect too much from that one. But you're looking at Brentford, Norwich, and Burnley in a space of 3 out of 4 games. I mean, for me, I was saying the other day, 9 points. I think 7 is fair. You draw against one of them, but I mean, all 3 of them are at St. James's Park as well. 3 home games against 3 sides who are in the relegation battle. I mean, if we come out the other end of those 4 games without beating one of them, we're done. Like, I honestly, if we can't, and this is what I mean. I know Eddie Howe's he's only been in for 30 seconds, and I'm already putting this pressure on him. But honestly, if we can't do it in November, going into a December where we'll play both the Manchester clubs, we'll play Everton and Liverpool, we'll play some really tough games there. We're looking at going into the new year without any points, so it's so early, and I absolutely hate talking about it, because, as I say, I hate saying, it's a 6-pointer, because there's always another game you can play, and I know there's what seem to be easier games than others, but as I say, like, these are big games coming up.
I think it does. I wouldn't even say 7, like what you said at the start. 9. I think it really has got to be 9 points, because you look now, even 9 points. I mean, we're 5 points off already. So if we don't beat Brentford, it could be 8 points off, and then maybe 7 if you're taking. Burnley might be the one where you'd maybe drop points, because I think they're doing well at the minute on this. Good point at home, good point away from home at Chelsea, and then they're starting to win. They're starting to win at home, so starting to get some points on the board. But that Brentford game on a week on Saturday has got to be the starting point, really, because the longer you go without that winning feeling, the harder it gets, I reckon. But the atmosphere will be electric on that day. Like, won't have got to get behind the lads, got to get behind Eddie Howe, show him his appreciation, show him what we're supporting, his backing, and I'm interested to see what he'll do. I'm interested to see what formation it'll be. Finally, we might see a better formation. We might finally see 4 at the back. We might see possession. We might see pressing. I mean, all those things are a welcome change, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's happened at a good time, and I do think the owners have lined this all up in a way for that reason. They had an international break. They gave Graham Jones three weeks. In those 3 weeks, they went out, they interviewed, they looked at people, they decided, and then now that new manager, who is Eddie Howe from today, has a good 2 weeks to basically drill into these players how important this game is against Brentford. And then, as you've said, I genuinely, I'm already looking forward to it now, and it's 2 weeks away. I was ready for a break after watching that Brighton game, but now that this has happened today, I'm actually looking forward to it, and I can't wait to go. I think the atmosphere will resemble what it was in that game against Spurs when the new owners came in. I think there's going to be a lot of people excited, and as you've just said there, if we'll go out there and we'll win that game, it just sets us up for what hopefully can be a bit of a run of form or a bit of something, because we've been so far off the pace, and that's the worrying thing. If we do lose that opening game, like the Spurs game, everyone was so elated, we got that early goal, and then the day just didn't go the way we wanted. I think it'll be similar with the Brentford game. Going into that, everyone will be buzzing for hopefully a 3-pointer, and if we'd come out of that with anything less than 3, I think people are going to walk home going, it's going to be another tough few weeks.
Because I don't want to say it's defining because we're so early on in the season, but if we do pick up 7 to 9 points in those games, things are looking a lot prettier. But if we don't, and you head into those awful December fixture list, then it is just a mountain to climb, isn't it? Because it's funny how different it can look. Because if you get those 9 points and quick results go in and around you, then you will be out the bottom 3. But if you don't, you're going to be pretty rooted in the bottom 3. Like, so,
yeah,
it's important that we get off to a flying start. Like,
well, and again, this is the big thing, obviously, people have been talking about the money since the takeover went through, but we're not going to spend anything until January. Eddie Howe's got what is 4 games coming up where we really need to bring some points in, because as you say, after that it's December, and then you're looking at January to start hopefully bringing in a handful of players, loans, or whatever he ends up doing to help in the second half of the season. But if we can be sitting in 17th place, 16th place come January, it will be a much less stressful January window than to be sat second bottom or bottom of the league going, does anyone want to come and help us out of this mess? If we can be sitting in 16th place, 2 games ahead or 3 points ahead of the relegation zone come January, I just think that the time to pick players up will just be a much less stress-free than to be sitting down there worrying.
I think what worries me now, if the players can't get up for it and don't perform in the Brentford game, then it worries me. Like, is this squad got the cojones for this relegation battle? Because no doubt a lot of them will be out the door. That's the case in January. But if you kind of get up for this, I mean, the atmosphere is going to be bouncing. You should be willing to impress the new manager. You should have been grafting your ass off in training. You should be doing your best to go to his style of playing and work well for him. And obviously, Wilson and Richie and that know him already. So everything points towards what should be a good day. That really shouldn't. I mean, we should be getting the 3 points on that day. But Brentford started the season really well, and then they've dipped off a little bit. So we're talking about here, like, we're saying, oh, we'll look at Brentford, try and get 3 points. Look at Norwich and Burnley, we'll get 3 points. Those teams will be doing the exact same to us coming up here. They'll be going, well, we're playing second bottom of the league today, lads. If we can't beat these, we're fucked. Do you know what I mean? So Brentford will be looking around thinking, well, this is a good chance for us to get back to winning ways. Norwich will be thinking, who will probably have a new manager by the time they play us, you would have thought. Burnley, Sean Dyche will know how to grind out a result. So it's all well and good us saying, we need to get these points. But these players and these other teams coming up here will be saying the exact same thing about us.
They will, and you're right there. I mean, we're going to hopefully get our new manager bounce. I mean, by the time we're playing Norwich, I mean, they'll be getting the same thing. I think it definitely is a good help that the games are all at home. I mean, again, we'll have to obviously go and do the part down at their place, but hopefully by then, Eddie Howe might have got the boat steered in the right direction, and then who knows, maybe even a few new players by the time we play against them again as well. But no, I mean, again, I'm doubt Eddie's watching right now, but no pressure. No pressure. He's sat at home watching on the phone. But yeah, no pressure, Eddie. I mean, as I say, I'm buzzing that he's in. Talking about the managers that we've been linked with, and I know you talked about it earlier. I mean, we sat here and we were convinced that Fonseca was in, and then it was Emery, and again, I know some people have said Eddie Howe, we could have had him, the day after Bruce left and that kind of thing. But I honestly do think that the way the owners have done it is the best way to do it, because if they brought him in after one day and then things didn't go right, then you're looking at, well, they didn't do the due diligence. They didn't speak to people. I think the fact that they've gone round the houses and asked everyone and their dog whether they fancy it or not, it doesn't mean that Eddie Howe was the bottom of the list. I think Eddie Howe was one of the first people they spoke to. And Eddie Howe, from what I've heard, gave a great account of himself, and they could have gone there and then, right, Eddie, you've got it, but they didn't do that. They thought, Eddie, thank you for that. We really like what you've said, but we're actually going to go and speak to a few other people. And the fact that they've gone round others and then have come back to him just shows that the impression he made must have been a good one. So, and again, since we've obviously been linked and he's been sat in the game against Brighton, I've been watching old interviews and the way he talks and stuff. And I know you mentioned it earlier about how he becomes obsessed with a job. And I do think, again, he he needs us as much as we need him to a degree. You know, you look at someone like Emery, he's already with a Champions League side. You know, does he really need to go to Newcastle? You know, Eddie Howe has been out of work for a while. Again, I've no doubt he's had other offers that he's potentially looked at and said no to. He's now wants to come back and rebuild his name in the Premier League. And he knows it's going to be as much of a fight for him as it is for us. And one thing that I like about Eddie Howe is he's got his foot in the door early as well. Because I know people are obviously talking about like the 10-year plan of where we could be in 10 years and what other manager can come in next. You know, if he comes in here and does us a good job, keeps us up, gives them some money to spend in the summer, you know, I'd love to see Eddie Howe go on that journey with us. I'd love for him to come through, step up, get these guys in shape, bring a few new players in, and I'd love to see him like move up the table with us rather than being like, right, cheers for the work you've done. Let's get the next bloke in. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of the appointment. As I say, the big thing for me is he's a young guy, and I think he'll be as hungry for it as we are. Which comes back to the question is how hungry are the players? Because that's going to be the be all and end all.
The players should be so hungry though, because this is a chance to be on an unreal project. You're playing for the richest club in the world now. The sky's the limit if you stay in the Premier League. Look where this club could be in the next 3, 4, 5 years if you graft and you could be a part of it. There were still players from Man City that were lingering around for 7, 8 years after they got took over who would just make the odd appearance in the FA Cup. But they've still got to be in the dressing room, world-class players. They've still got to get them at that point. They've still got to lift trophies. So that could be you. That could be Jeff Hendrick. This could be you. You could be with the Champions League, son. So start grafting. Do you know what I mean? Start pulling your finger out. See where it can take you. But Eddie Howe, you mentioned you'd want him here for the long term if he does well. And obviously, if he does do well, he should be given the chance to continue beyond 2.5 years. You look and think, and there's been links made with it. Kevin Keegan, when he first took over, very much a young manager, more unproven than Eddie Howe as well. To be fair, it was his first job in football, wasn't it, really, at Newcastle, where Kevin Keegan got us promoted. A bit like what Eddie Howe did at Bournemouth, took them through the divisions, even better, even from further down. So, and the way Eddie Howe speaks in terms of attacking football and what he demands from his players, you never know. Could have the next Kevin Keegan on my hands. Not putting much pressure on him again, mate.
No, I agree. And again, this comes back to some of the conversations people were having about, you know, the various managers and who's got the experience and who doesn't. And I think one thing you get with Eddie Howe, like you say, is I think he's a passionate guy. I think when they were talking about good old Lee Charnley was apparently involved in the interviews a lot more than I'd like him to be. I mean, how the hell is he going to convince anyone to come to Newcastle? I mean, again, you look at how Kevin Keegan speaks about Newcastle, and I see, you know, in a way, the way Eddie Howe talks about football generally. I think he is a very passionate guy, and he wants people to work hard. And this is the big thing, you know, we've just mentioned it there. Like at the end of the day, it's gonna rest with the players. And I can see Peter there putting he's a workaholic. I think it's definitely something that adds highly to us. You know, they're going to go from Steve Bruce's 2 days a week to Eddie Howe's 6 a.m. starts, 10 p.m. finishes. You know, that's going to be a huge thing. You've got to lead by example. You know, you talk about like a captain has to lead by example. I think the manager has as well. And I'm hoping that he can install what has been a lack of work ethic and like ethos in these players. I think, you know, again, Rafa Benitez had the same players, and like the work hard effort of those players shone through so much more than, you know, what Steve Bruce was able to get out of them. And I know, well, again, the problem is it's the same players and they're getting older and they're getting slower. But I still think some of these guys have got something in them that we're really not seeing at the minute. I've spoken my video about you know, some players that I think can definitely do well. You look at Hayden. I still think well, I'd said Hayden was a great player, and someone had commented saying I've not heard someone call Hayden a great player in a while, and I do agree to a point. But I just think, you know, of the centre midfielders we've got, I think he can definitely do a job. But again, it's just holding his hand and just reminding him what he's actually meant to be doing, because there's so many players just wandering around the pitch at the minute. Eddie Howe, if he gets them to stand in the right positions, it'll be a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm way back up in the comments here from 15 minutes ago, just trying to get through a couple of them. Shout out Nick, who's a member. Appreciate that. He's interested to see what he does with the defenders. How will he make Lascelles, Kraft, Clark, and Lewis better? Well, I'm interested to see how he'll do with everyone, not just the defenders. But I get what he's saying in terms of Lascelles needs improving. Kraft, I'm not sure what you can do with Kraft, to be honest. Clark needs to retire. You can't do nothing with Clark. But he can definitely do something with Lascelles and Lewis. Rafa had Lascelles looking unreal, as he did with a few others. And Jamal Lewis has huge bags of potential. He wasn't a big price tag and linked with Liverpool for no reason. So if he can coach Lewis, I'm interested to see how that gets on. I'm interested to see how he immediately changes things anyways, because obviously Graham Jones has took a lot of stick for the teams that he's been putting out, playing Kraft at centre-back, not even putting Federico Fernandez on the bench, keeping Richie at left-back, which I think Howe will change straight away, to be honest. He used to play right up the park for him back at Bournemouth, and I don't think he'll think he's a defender. I think he'll change that as well. And obviously things throughout the midfield, it's going to be interesting to see what that starting line is going to look like in 2 weeks' time against Brentford. That's a good point there when we point out, and maybe if we go, oh, I've been beaten by Brentford, disaster. It's kind of Newcastle to get beat by Brentford and go beat Arsenal, isn't it? Really, that's the kind of thing that'll probably happen, because it would be too straightforward for us to go beat Brentford, get beat off Arsenal, beat Burnley and Norwich. Like, we'll do it the other way around us. We'll do it the other way around. We'll do it the hard way.
Well, that's why I always try not to say, this is a must win and this is a 6-pointer, because as you say, Newcastle, we always do our best to make the hash of it and do it the wrong way around. So again, if we do lose to Brentford in 2 weeks' time, I'll be extremely gutted. But as you say rightly, who's to say we can't go and pull off something that no one expected against Arsenal a week later?
Yeah. Just going around the comments now. Plenty of them. I haven't seen that. Like, Eddie Howe normally plays 4-1-4-1 or a 4-4-2, but it very much changes as the game goes on. Really, and he has players moving all over the place. So that's what I've seen. But it's a definite improvement on what we've seen in recent times with the formation. Yeah, I've been playing. There we go. He knows the crack.
Well, again, like you say, I think that I think defensively, it's a major issue for us right now. No clean sheets. Seriously lacking at the back, and again, coming up against Tony for Brentford, who to be honest, I've got no doubt Tony will score a goal against us. Although I did say that against Southampton with Adam Armstrong coming back to St James's Park, and we managed to stop him from scoring. But it's just so like Newcastle to let a player go and for him to come back and haunt us straight away, which means we've got to score 2. But that's what Eddie Howe does know what to do. It's how to set up an attack inside. It's just how many were conceded in the meantime.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, Eddie Howe's renowned for his attacking football, being on the front foot, creating chances and everything. But it's the goals as well. He's conceded. People are worried about the goals that he's conceded at the back, and our defense has been the worst at the worst this season, really, hasn't it, than anything else. But he did say that the best form of defense is attack anyhow. So it's going to be entertaining either way, innit?
And to be honest, I'll take it. I mean, at the end of the day, what I want is to not go down, to be honest. That is the be all and end all for me. If you said to me, Rob, look, the football's going to be terrible from now till the end of the season, but you can have 17th, I would still take it. I would sit through those 0-0s every week at St James's, down in me pints at half time, just so that we can get through the season and start afresh in the summer after what has been such a terrible start. But if you promised me, for most seasons, 15th, 14th with an attacking style like Leeds, goals galore, it's fun to watch and it's exciting. Again, looking at that 10-year plan of what Newcastle can win, again, I just want to see some, from what we've been starved of, for how many years. I'm happy to just see some fun football, go to the match and actually enjoy myself for a change rather than just watching drab Bruce ball, 7 at the back. It doesn't, I'm not surprised the amount of people who pack their tickets in, because it was just getting, honestly, it was at that point after that Wolves game, I thought, you know what it is? it's worse than it's ever been. And then just like that, overnight, there was a takeover. So it couldn't have come at a better time. And hopefully Eddie Howe can pick up what has been a useless side. And I still stand by the fact that side, the team we've got right now is fully underperforming. Never mind Eddie Howe getting like an out of performing, like overperforming. Even if he just got them to where they should be playing, we will be so much better than we are now. I'm not even expecting them to get them to overachieve, just achieve where they should be, and we'll be 10 times better than where we are now.
And that's what he said as well in his interview. He said that.
He did.
He made it publicly known. He basically said that we are underperforming. We should be doing better. I'll make them better. I can get them up the table. Yeah. I can use tactics, which will help. Do you know what I mean? There's these things that he can actually do to improve the team.
Yeah.
I'll switch it up for a minute. There's some other news today. Was Director of Football talk, which is apparently heating up quite quickly. We don't want to get too carried away with it. With obviously things that have happened lately. But it came out today, and it's gathering pace as well as the day goes on, that former Chelsea technical director, Michael Imanalo, has emerged as the leading contender to become Newcastle's new director of football. It's understood that he's already travelled to Saudi Arabia last week to speak with the new owners. And he is the front runner now for the director of football job. And that's apparently pretty close as well, according to the Telegraph and according to plenty others. He had an unreal few years at Chelsea, several years at Chelsea when obviously they had their takeover. He was instrumental in the signings of De Bruyne, Salah, Conte, Hazard, and many others. So that would be an unreal appointment for me. Like, how perfect does that sound to you?
It sounds good to me, mate. Again, it's what's on the pitch. It's what's off the pitch as well. And as we've spoken about, finally having a bit of transparency off the pitch, being able to hear what the owner actually has to say, seeing, even the interviews that Graham Jones has been having, pre-match, post-match, being put on like the Newcastle United website, that kind of thing they wouldn't even do that. We couldn't even get news about our own club from our own website. You had to go and find it somewhere else because Mike Ashley refused to post anything, which is just ridiculous. But to go along with all that, that is like baseline stuff that should be happening off the pitch. Pushing up from that, it's speaking with players and doing all of that background stuff that honestly I think Lee Charnley hasn't got a clue how to do it. So, and it does raise the question as well for me, that the fact that Eddie Howe was appointed as head coach as opposed to manager. Do you think that's right? Like that is to do with the director of football stuff?
I think so. I think that'll come out maybe in the next couple of days, especially if we manage to appoint Milano as the new director of football, because they're still waiting to announce the backroom staff officially as well, aren't they?
Yeah,
they came out and they said a press conference, news on a press conference, and news on other coaches joining Howe is to come. So we're obviously still trying to sort out a package for his backroom staff from his Bournemouth days, who he's tried and trusted with and had years with them. Jason Tyndall, who took over the job for a little bit at Bournemouth when Howe left, and a few of his other coaches, a fitness coach, the usual coach. He's bringing about 4 or 5 of them from Bournemouth. So it raises the question of where Graham Jones is going to fit in as well, I suppose.
You know what it is? I did actually sit here a number of times and said that I think Graham Jones did well for us. I think he built himself a great name at England. And I really wanted to see Graham Jones stay. And Graham Jones has spoken in his interviews about the fact that he will be staying on and how he's basically got a contract separate to the Steve Bruce's backroom staff, which I thought he would, considering he came in a lot later. But, and you know what it is? I could easily sit here and slate Jones's decisions of what we've done the last 3 games. But at the end of the day, he's been thrown in the deep end. We played top of the league, Chelsea, and we pulled off 2 draws and 2 away games. So at the end of the day, as much as I didn't agree with him banning Fernandes from the squad and all these ridiculous things, if you'd offered me those draws, I probably would have taken them. But the thing with Jones is I think I do want that fresh start. Jones, he's a Geordie lad, and I like him, and I hope he does well in his career. But to a degree, I kind of want him to just let Howe come in and have a proper have a proper fresh start. But it's not to say that Jones still can't help towards it. I don't think he's actually worked with Eddie Howe, but he's worked with some of his backroom staff in the past. So who knows? Maybe it could be a really good fit. And at the end of the day, Eddie Howe's the man in charge. So as long as he's the one with the final decision, then we'll see how we get on.
Big up Josh Stockton. That's my guy. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate that contribution. He says he's absolutely buzzing with the appointment of Eddie Howe. Perfect match for us, similar to the way Keegan was in the 90s. Apparently, Howe has said we've got a good squad and is capable of way more, which we touched upon before, and the Keegan link as well. So glad to see people are buzzing with the appointment of Howe. Hope you're good, Josh, mate. And I think it is a good match, because the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. The more, this time last week or the Tuesday or Wednesday when the Emery deal was meant to be pretty much done, it was exciting because of his CV, because of his Europa League wins and where we want to be eventually in the Europa League and things like that. That's like 2, 3, 4 years down the line. Now we've got to think about the here and now. In the here and now, we've got Eddie Howe, a man who kept Bournemouth up for 4 out of 5 seasons, totally rebuilt them as a club from the bottom of the Football League, 92nd in the league when he took over, minus 17 points at one point in the relegation battle, and he kept them up, put them forward. He won Manager of the Decade in 2015. He knows the league. He plays good football. He speaks well. He's got a good philosophy. He's hardworking. I am more excited with it now, and I am looking forward to it. Let's just hope it is a perfect match. Let's just hope it works out and we stay up first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean you're absolutely spot on, and as I say, I feel like I was a little bit blinded by some of the managers that were coming out that were being linked with, and oh my God, is that for real? And is Emery really going to walk away from Champions League Villarreal to come and manage us in a relegation battle? But I think you've put it perfectly there. As I say, I think again, Emery could have walked away from if Emery walked away and came and managed us. The thing in his head is, I'll see what I can do here, and then hopefully if I can get them through this, then maybe I'll get some money to spend. I think I'm not going to say that he wouldn't have had a good attitude towards the job, but just from what I'm hearing from Eddie Howe, and as I say, I think to a degree, he needs this as much as we do. He needs to come in, and after taking a break from football, again, he probably has been offered a number of jobs that he's turned down. This is the one he said yes to, and this is the one he wants to basically reprove himself as being as a Premier League manager. And I think, again, it's going to be a tough job to keep us in the Premier League this season. But again, if we can go on a bit of a run now, if we can get that new manager bounce and be somewhere in January, just in time to spend a little bit of money, who knows what he could be doing come next season. And what I really hope, again, is that we're in the Premier League.
Well, that's the main thing. That's the first starting point. There's one for you, mate.
Thank you, mate. Honourable mention to Rubenstein. How's it going, mate? Hey, mate, I think you're the only person that'll be gutted with the appointment of Eddie Howe. Is Ryan Fraser. Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say, can anyone get a tune out of that guy? I'm not. Will Eddie Howe even bother with trying, or are they still not mates?
That's one thing, because everyone's obviously seeing how well he worked with Callum Wilson, had an unreal relationship there. They really love each other, love working with each other. Matt Ritchie as well, bigged him up to the owners when they asked for their opinion on him. He couldn't praise him highly enough.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Fraser, wee man, as Eddie Howe calls him in that mic'd up training session. And if you haven't seen that, that's a good video out there on YouTube. Eddie Howe mic'd up. Watch it after this one. Don't leave this video yet. All right. Watch that later.
I'm going to go watch it. See you in a bit, mate.
So he's calling in Ryan Fraser wee man in that video. It's quality. But the tune he got out of Fraser and Wilson was unbelievable, wasn't it? That assist to goal ratio. But obviously, whatever happened there, I think Ryan Fraser was doing a bit of a Michael Owen moment, wasn't he, under Eddie Howe, in terms of when Michael Owen refused to play for Newcastle when he was injured, and then when he said he wasn't ready to come back because he knew we were under the threat of relegation. I think Ryan Fraser pretty much did the same. He was already looking out for himself in the summer instead of looking after the club he was playing at. So that's disappointing and not on in my terms. I mean, if you're on a contract at a club or at a job, you should do your best while you're there. So I can understand the fallout, really. But what went on before that, who knows? I think he'll just come in, train, and just be like, right, fresh start. Do you know what I mean? Fresh start. if Fraser's going to graft and actually perform, then why wouldn't you play him? But I mean, he's done out, really, has he? Since he came here, he's been so disappointing, so injury prone.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. When Fraser came in on that free, I was buzzing. I thought we've got a really good player here, and again, it's so questionable, because we sit on the outside and you don't get the full info of what's going on. Like Graham Jones deciding to ban Fernandez from the squad. I mean, from what I've seen, he's been our best defender so far. So then you're thinking, has something happened there that we are just fully unaware of? Why is Fraser getting played in centre mid and all these crazy things? You're thinking, these guys are professional paid managers and coaches. If they're not playing Fraser for a reason, it must be because he's either not fit or he's not performing in training. But all I did was look in from the outside and think, surely this guy's worth a go. But again, we've got wingers is probably one of the play, or at least St. Max on one wing. Then you look at the other one, Miggy probably. I think Fraser's definitely worth chucking him in and giving him a shout. I think one of the big things that Eddie Howe needs to look at doing is supporting Callum Wilson. I think the goal ratio that he's got for the amount of efforts that he had is remarkable, because the amount of chances we get in is like 0 to none, and somehow he's managed to keep scoring. If we put, we're giving him 3 efforts a game, and he still manages to put 1 or 2 of them in. Imagine if we were able to give this guy 6, 7, 8 chances in a match. You could have a hat trick every week. So, for me, stick St. Max and Fraser or Almina or whoever on a wing, and honestly hit the byline, cross it in, cut it back, do something. Let's give Wilson a chance. And that's just an absolute bare basic way of trying to create. And that's not even like attacking. That's just pure counter football. But, get the fullbacks, hammer it down the line to the 2 wingers in space. I'd love it because that's what Fraser was doing when him and Wilson were linking up. Again, it's a few years later. He's had a few injury troubles. He's probably not as quick as he was, but it's not to say that he can't, do it again if we actually give him a go.
It's going to be so interesting to see how the team plays, how he brings them out, because when you're mentioning there, like who's going to be up top and stuff, he's going to, if he plays the 4-4-2, he's probably going to put Joe Linton or St. Maximin up there as the 2. But I think you'll much prefer to have St. Maximin on the wing. He could even quite a lot at Bournemouth. He had the 4-4-1-1 as well, where he had Josh King just behind Wilson or behind Benik Afobe, and Josh King, or who was in the number 10, was just running around like a lunatic, confusing defenders, making space, making gaps, playing through balls. And then he does overlap. Even with, this is how he gets caught out defensively, though, Eddie Howe, is because he demands braveness and attacking from his players. You normally have overlapping defenders if you're playing 5 at the back with the wing backs. But Eddie Howe even does that with 4 at the back. He demands his left back and his right back to overlap, give options to the byline, and then he floods the box. He wants as many bodies in the box as possible because that creates the best chance of someone getting on the end of the cross. Madness. Total genius, not really, isn't it? You know what I mean? But that's what he does.
You've cracked the code.
you put bodies in the box so there's someone on the end of the cross. So you're putting pressure on the defender so there's someone free. Whereas how many times did we see with Bruce, and even going back to Rafa, to be fair, there'd be a stranded centre forward just by himself, surrounded by 3 defenders. We've seen it time and time again with Wilson, and he was cutting a frustrated figure. I bet you he's licking his lips now with Eddie Howe coming back, and the thought of whoever we could bring in January as well.
Well, again, this is the big thing, and it's something that didn't work. I'll sit and be honest with you and say, when Brucey left and we were sitting here going, well, who's the new manager? I was like, just let Graham Jones have a go. I was like, I'd rather Graham Jones stepped in and did it than was sat with Brucey any longer. But again, I think one of the big issues was that Graham Jones, he knew he only had 3 weeks. So how quickly can he turn this team around and give them a whole new outlook? And even if he did, then Eddie Howe's come in, 2 weeks later, and he's going to change it again. So really all Graham Jones could do was babysit the situation. There was no way he was going to have time to actually make any legitimate changes. But one of the things that you've got to look at straight away for me is Wilson up top and supporting the guy. You look at like Willock. I'm hoping that he'll have a new lease of life under Howe this season. Obviously, he's come in and he's had a bit of an injury issue. For me, I think he could be. I know a lot of people will say that St. Max is their number 10, Wilson up front with St. Max roaming in and behind. What I would prefer to see is Wilson being the number 9 up top and give St. Max the space. Just give him a wing to himself. Literally, all other 10 players just go and stand over here. So when we're doing like tick-a-tacker, Shelby or whoever, hopefully not Shelby actually, Willock spots the ball to St. Max and all that room over there. Just give him that wing. So for me, it will be St. Max on the wing, Wilson up top, and then ideally I would probably look at Willock being that number 8, breaking into the box late, because that's what he did at the end of last season where he was fantastic. So yeah, we'll have to see, mate. I've no doubt there will be changes coming for the game. The only worry I've got is I think there'll be less changes than people probably want. Because again, although he has this 2 weeks, I think I don't know what the fitness is of these players. You're talking about Eddie Howe wanting people to work on the front foot and go and get the ball. You know, we lasted 10 minutes against Spurs. Like we blew a gasket after 15 minutes, and then it's going to be the same. 2 weeks is not enough to get these guys into shape for the way he wants to play football. So it's gonna take longer. As much as I want to see changes literally on Saturday, I could potentially see it still being 5 at the back. I hope it's not.
Nah, it won't be.
No?
Nah, it won't be.
I just think he's gonna struggle to get these players to play a different way that quick.
I get what you mean. Like, I get, and it isn't going to change overnight. We kind of sit here and get excited and think when we play Brentford in less than 2 weeks, we're going to be playing like Liverpool and chasing people down for fun and pressing for the 90 minutes and making these unreal runs and playing these through balls and overlapping and getting balls in the box. It can't happen overnight, but it will be an improvement, and it will be his formation. It will be 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, because straight away tomorrow that'll be starting. That'll be starting tomorrow when he gets in the training. I'll be right. Drop this 5 at the back, bollocks. This is how you play football. Darlow, stop kicking it into the east stand, please. There's a start. Right, we're gonna play out from the back, and we're gonna push forward from defence to attack using the midfield. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way it's got to start. That's the way it's got to be at against Brentford and move from there. I'm looking forward to it. I wish Newcastle should stream the training ground tomorrow. They should stream the whole session. They should do that mic'd up thing. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
Get involved. They got Brandon. What a class day it was on Saturday with you, mate. Good seeing you. Cheers for the pints. Good meeting you too. And what a quality away day it was. Give us a shout when you're next coming over, mate. And like I say, I'll get over to Holland one day myself. Rubenstein, you fancy that trip to Amsterdam?
Sounds good, mate. Maybe Newcastle can go there on a pre-season tour or something, and we can head over. That'll be good, wouldn't it?
That'll be class, aye. That'll be absolutely class. I was saying I was going to go see Brandon's team anyway. Good old AZ Alkmaar. Remember when we used to play them back in Europe? But yeah, Saturday was a quality day. Not really the match, but the build up. And I enjoyed Brighton. It was a good place. Connor, good meeting you too, mate. In the vlog, quality stuff. And we'll get back.
I was saying I woke up that morning and I seen all the Instagrams, all the tweets, all of the Snapchats. Everyone's making their way down, and I'm sat in the house going, "Oh, I've made a mistake." Yeah, and then I watched the match and I thought, you know what? Don't mind anymore. I'm all right actually. Not getting on an 8-hour bus home at 8 o'clock at night. I'll just sit and watch telly on the settee now. Thank you.
Well, that's a good point. You had it easy then. I'm not sure if I'm not down Southampton next year if I would make the journey. I would try, but maybe not if it's a 5:30 kickoff. But it is a quality away day, Brighton. I've done Brighton before.
Yeah, I've done it once before. I think we lost 1-0. I think it was.
You still got to see a goal.
You did, yeah. I think it was 2 o'clock on a Sunday, so that was crap times as well. And honestly, mate, I feel sorry for the fans who were traveling from Newcastle and had to watch that first half in particular. As you say, at least there was a goal and at least there was something to cheer about and a point to take home. Honestly, that 8 hours down there. I think the deceiving thing as well is that once you get to freaking Brighton, you've still got to get on another train to the actual stadium. It's never ending.
It must be the favourite away day for everyone. Newcastle away, because everything's there. As soon as you get off the train, the bar's in front of you. There's hundreds of bars on the way to the ground, and then you've only got a 10-minute walk to the ground. Every away day we go on, it's in the stadiums in the bloody Milton anywhere. We're walking around Crystal Palace, getting lost and everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a right nightmare. I was thinking the same though. Obviously, I was looking last night, knowing that Howe was going to come. I was thinking, I might try and get back up with Newcastle for the Brentford game next week, like Howe's first game. Trains are too expensive, man. It's just too expensive to get back up. It's not looking likely. I might be swayed, but probably not. The bank might tell us otherwise. I think it's just going to cost too much. At least I got my Arsenal ticket. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Well, again, this is the thing. The Palace game was a great laugh. Spent an absolute fortune. I was like, I can't we just keep doing it every week and have no money.
And we're going to answer a few more questions, so keep your comments coming in. If you need to jump off at any time, Rob, just feel free. I don't want to stop you from eating your tea or anything, you know.
That's all right, mate. I'll stick on till the hour and then I'll jump off.
Good stuff. There's nearly 700 people watching, so you can all smash the like button and subscribe. That'd be much appreciated. And check out Rob's channel as well, Rubenstein. Question here from Brian, and it's a big one. Who's going to be Eddie Howe's first signing? I mean, Nathan Ake could be a strong link, couldn't it, really? Centre back he absolutely adored, and Ake spoke so highly of Howe as well. Not getting a game at Man City, could you maybe get him on loan, see how it goes from there? The type of centre back we need as well, to be fair. Comfortable with the ball at his feet, big, strong, young. Could be a good shout.
Left-footed as well, isn't he? I think he would do well to sit on that side. I think that would be spot on. Again, that's another thing. Unlike what Sky Sports would lead you to believe, I'm not interested in signing Mbappe just yet. I'd like to see some actual well thought transfers. And like you said there, I think let's be clever about it. You know, at the end of the day, we want to stay in the Prem. Does Ake really want to move from, Man City Champions League to us? And does he want to take a huge, probably a wage cut as well? Eddie Howe's got the link. Let's get him in on a loan deal, end of the season. You know what it is, mate. You did well. Would you like to see what you can do with us over the years? Yes or no? We don't need to go out and spend 70 million on Ake. Let's just try and grab him on a loan deal. I think you'd probably be up for it. And I think that's the kind of mentality we need to have going into it in January is, spending 150 million on two players. You're putting a big chunk of pressure on two guys. Let's look at 5 or 6 smart signings, or even, as I say, a couple of good loan deals would do me.
A couple of smart signings we can make is players that are running out of their contract, like James Tarkowski at Burnley would be a solid centre-back signing, I think. Even like a Connor Cody at Wolves, these type of players, Premier League experience, come right in, thick of relegation battles before. I think they could shore up our defence straight away. And the likes of Tarkowski and Ake are comfortable with the ball at their feet as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I can see a comment from Barney there saying we want grafters with quality. I think the word grafter is specifically what we need right now. I mean, you look at our team, and again, I'm hoping Eddie Howe's training, his new manager bounce is going to change that. But our team hasn't got any grafters at the minute. Richie's probably one I would say is a grafter, but I think that's more vocal these days. I think because he's getting older, he's struggling to quite cover the ground that he used to. I think bringing some of these guys in who are a bit younger and hungry for it. We are again. I know everyone talks about no one wants to be the first person in the door. No one wants to be the first manager. Everyone wants to come in 4 years' time when we've got some money and we're doing a little bit better. But again, this is like day one. This is get your foot in the door now and prove why you can be here in 4 or 5 years' time. So looking at some of these younger, hungry players who aren't just going to come because we're going to pay them loads of money. Let's say to them like that. If anything, that should be like the incentive that they are looking at is let's if you join us now, you're here from day one, and this is your chance to be a part of something that's going to be big.
I think that surely you've got to play a part in why Joe Willock decided to come. He must have knew that obviously the takeover was brewing up, and same action as well could have left in the summer. These players have got to look and think, right, well, if I stay in Newcastle, wait it out, if it's a few months, if it's a year, and then I can be the main man and I can be the star and I can be a part of a team that's going to progress in the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kieran Trippier there, I think that would be a quality signing. He was strongly linked towards the back end of the week. I mean, if he wants to come back to England, he must if he's going to agree to it, because he's leaving a Champions League side there and coming to Newcastle. So especially in January, even a relegation battle, it would take some persuading. But if the money's right and he fancies coming back to England, then why not? Would you change up the captaincy, Robert? I don't think Howe would come in and disturb things straight away like that. You'd maybe look towards the start of next season. You could change a captain. I mean, I've seen Ranieri the other day at Watford came right in. He just made Moussa Sissoko the captain. So managers might do it if you've got the guts to go for it. You could do it. I mean, I think Wilson, if he was fit and he's at number 9, he's scoring goals, and perfect captain's armband. But for me, I wouldn't disturb things just yet, as much as I think Lascelles' days in the starting 11 are numbered, especially with the money we've got.
Well, I think that would be the main reason for it, really. I don't even know who I'd give the captain to be honest. This is again the issue with it we're having. I don't even know who our leaders are. To be honest, if I had to say anyone, I'd probably say Fernandez, but he's been banned, so he can't have it.
For no reason. Hasn't even got corona, he's just in lockdown.
but this is the thing. You want someone who's going to be a standout player and is going to lift the side. I think, unfortunately, Lascelles' form has been extremely poor. And I'd love to see him step up alongside all the players and really take back what he's been given. He needs to step up as much as everyone else and not only prove why he should be in the starting 11, but also prove why he should have that captain's armband. Because again, from what we've seen recently, he's again, does he deserve it right now? I'd probably say no. But if you'd ask me who to give it to, I haven't got a clue. So.
There you go then. Good answer. Eddie Howe, player coach. Players like Ross Barkley, so we should be targeting who will improve us from top clubs. Agreed. Players that are on the fringes of the big sides is definitely who we should be aiming for. Like Donny van der Beek and that. Ramsey from Juventus, Ward-Prowse from Southampton. I mean, that would be unreal. To be fair, I was here obviously Friday night down Southampton. Watched the Villa game, and James Ward-Prowse was class. Him and Ramiro in the middle of the park, perfect partnership, perfect balance. And Ward-Prowse, quality player. I'd love to see him.
Yeah, well, again, I think similar to what we were saying earlier about bringing in already Premier League proven, hungry for more, and I think he's that kind of player. I think he's kind of stepping out of Southampton's shoes in a degree. I think a lot of people are keen on him. And I think if we can get him, it would be a real good signing. I quite like Ramsey as well, to be fair. I think he is getting a bit older. I know he's not getting any game time at Juventus at the minute. I think, again, that's another thing that we could really do with is just some experienced players. I mean, you look at Mourinho when he went into Spurs for that, and did you watch that documentary? And one of the things he spoke about a lot was changing mentality. Like you need to have a winning mentality. You need to go into these games and actually want to win the match, not just turn up and see what happens. Like actually go in there and try and win. And I think Eddie Howe will do that. And it's getting it into these guys' heads is what you should actually be trying to achieve in this match, not just turning up. I think someone like Ramsey is very well established in what he does. I just again trying to pick someone saying Ramsey no 400 grand a week, no tar. I mean, I agree with that, to be fair. I think it will be a loan deal for me and we'll pay for a quarter of that maybe, but yeah, bringing in guys who know how to step up and can show some of these players what to do, because as I say at the minute, a lot of our players look lost and they need to be grabbed hold of and shown what to do. And Lascelles isn't doing it. So who else should be?
There's an interesting one. Yeah, a bit of a different take on it, and we're not wanting to be negative, like, but it might come to it if St. Max, would he leave if we went down? Potentially, like, I mean, I could see it, but if you sold him on it would come up straight away anyway. I wouldn't want to jinx it, but you'd think it would come up straight away with the money we've got, and I think Howe would stay and we would come back. But we've done it before. I think we would do it again, but and we persuaded quite a few of the big boys to stay last time we went down. But what do you reckon? Do you reckon St. Maximin will be on his bike straight away? Because I mean, if you wait it out for a year, then then you get another summer, and then the next year you could finish quite high your first season back in the Premier League with all that money.
I think there's no doubt there'd be offers to St. Max. I think the thing is, if it was Mike Ashley still, and someone offered 20 million, you'd be like, right, I'll just take the money, whatever, give me the cash. I think now that we've got owners who don't need the money, obviously St. Max will. So if I don't know, Liverpool, Man City, or someone like that comes in and goes, we want St. Max and we're going to pay you what you want, then St. Max will, I think for me, will walk out the door. I think if you end up with teams that are mid-table, I don't know, Wolves or someone, or Villa or someone like that, they come in and offer 20 million. St. Max may go, but at the end of the day, our owners will just go, well, no, we don't need 20 million. We'd rather keep you than let you go. So I think unless it's a big side offering big money, regardless of whether he wanted to go or not, I'd like to hope that our owners would say, come on, it's only a year. Give us some time. Maybe even give him a little bumper on his deal to keep him around a little bit longer. But
do it, Daniel Levy, like what Daniel Levy does when players want to leave, like what he did with Modric and what he's currently doing with Harry Kane.
Yeah,
force him to stay. You're in a contract, son, and you're staying. We don't need the money, and that's the power position we're in now. We don't need your 20, 30 millions. We don't. Like, it's not like Mike Ashley where you snap your hand off any transfer offer you give him for anyone. He'd quite happily sell his best player and then try and replace him with a nobody. And make a profit on him in the future. We're in the driving seat now.
Yeah, again, and you know what it is. St. Max has done us really well. And I don't want to be a Daniel Levy and tell him, oh, we'll keep you a bit longer, and then completely do him over. But to a degree, I think it would be a one of those situations where, who is it? How much are they offering? And does he? Because I'm not going to stop the lad from going and playing in the Europa League, or maybe even having a bit of Champions League. But if he's going to leave us to just go and have another relegation battle with someone else, and they're not offering us much money, then why would we say yes? And surely in the long term, like you say, it will be worth him staying in the hope that we can still be somewhere better in a few years' time. And one thing I'll add as well. If we'd had this conversation this time last year, and you'd said to me, Rob, would you go down for a year so that we could get the takeover? I think I would have said yes.
Yeah.
So although we're in this situation now that, by God, please don't let us get relegated. However, if you'd offered me that deal, I would have taken it. So as painful as it will be to go down, to have to come back up and then basically start again, I think we can do it. I just really would rather not be sat here. I'd rather not watch Champions League football. Sorry, Championship football, and I'd rather not have to. Would have to rebuild twice. That's the thing. We'd have to rebuild for the Championship, and then we'd have to rebuild again for the Premier League again. So it would just put a real dent in what we're hopefully going to try and see over the next 5 to 10 years.
That's exactly what I said. These lads on the train the other day that were saying, I'm not bothered if we go down. Mate, it'll be a crease. We'll just be smacking people up every week, thrashing everyone left, right, and centre. And we'll come straight back up. True, but the whole transfer window and ethos and ideas go out the window for a year minimum.
Yeah.
Everyone you've got lined up in the summer goes out the window. Like you said, it's 2 rebuild jobs. If we stay up, then it's going to take us 2, 3, 4 years to get where we need to be. If we go down, it's going to take 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Because you are going to, the amount of ins and outs we'd have to make for the Championship, like we did last time.
Yeah.
And then in 2 years' time, all them appointments, so they're going to be on big contracts to persuade them to come to us in the Championship. Then nobody will take them off our hands. Then you try and get someone else through the door, and it would just be a nightmare trying to do a Championship rebuild and the Premier League rebuild and all of that to carry on.
It would be.
This is a good point. What I want to expand on is that Joey played a great ball to Wilson at Brighton. It was an unreal assist, to be fair. He was lively when he came on. Can Eddie Howe get the best out of the £40 million man? That's my question to you, Rob.
Well, I'm hoping he can definitely get more out of them than Steve Bruce or Graham Jones has. But to be honest, I don't think that will be very hard, to be honest, because I don't think we've seen an awful lot from him. I mean, one thing I will say with Joe Linton is that in the Chelsea game, he was on it was the Chelsea game, wasn't it? He was on the pitch then.
No, I don't think he was he?
No, did he come on? Or was it the game before that then? Was it the Spurs game maybe? Oh,
yeah, Spurs game he started. In a
recent game, In a recent game that I was semi sober for. He worked really hard and he put his body on the line, and he really tried hard for us. Again, this is something that we need to try and do is get this man standing in the right positions. We spoke about it earlier about getting Callum Wilson on that penalty spot. Let's get the ball into him. Talked about getting St. Max on that wing with a bit of space where he can work the ball, where he can drive forward. You know, it's the same with Joe Linton. We're playing him, and I'm going to be honest, that he hasn't got a great touch. So we need to put him somewhere he's going to have a bit of space for himself, whether it's going to be trying to, you know, back up Wilson in behind, or if it's going to be trying to hire him on a wing with a bit more space. It's going to be tough. We're trying to make something of a player who's really, for me, taken too long to adjust to the Premier League. I think players coming from abroad, you give them a bit of time, but you know, how much time can we give him, and how much time will Eddie Howe give him before, you know, we're getting into January, we're getting into summer. It's like we spoke about, these players need to step up. Joe Linton needs to do exactly the same.
He does.
Oh, sorry, I jumped on you there. I was going to say
No,
Donito there, but Joey is a perfect fit for Howe's pressing play. You spoke about it earlier, having Wilson up front with someone behind who does all that dirty work. Maybe that could be where Joe Linton fits in, because he does work hard.
It could be, because Josh King was a bit of a unit, bit of a nuisance there for them behind Wilson. So I think that could work. I think Eddie Howe is actually a coach, and he mentions it in one of his documentaries where he says he works with each and every player to make them better. And Nathan Ake actually said he would stay after the training ground, after the group left, and said, if you want some work done with just me and you'll stay back and we'll work on a few things. So I think Joe Linton's going to be doing fucking night shifts at the training ground if that's the case. But if it works, then that'll do me. Eddie Howe's going to be there fucking 3 days straight, no sleep, trying to get the best out of these players. Individual sessions all night long, floodlights on in the little indoor bit, because it'll be cold now this time of year, and you'll be getting them grafting their asses off, hopefully. And I'm optimistic he can improve the likes of Joe Linton.
No, I hope so, mate. I hope so.
Origi up front there, with Wilson, St. Maxim will be decent. Origi, who's always obviously off the bench and still always scores. To be honest, off the bench, did it yesterday.
Well, we need a striker in January. We again, and I hate saying things. Touch wood. We are a Callum Wilson injury away from a relegation.
Yeah,
that guy is scoring goals from thin air. You know, if it wasn't for him, we would be in an even worse place than we are now. So I can only imagine how bad the season would get if he was to pick up another injury. So January, top of the list has to be not even necessarily backup striker like we're talking about. If Eddie Howe wants to play two up front, let's bring them in as a duo. But if Wilson gets injured, it means we're not up the creek without a paddle.
It is, like, because we know. I mean, I've got a horrible feeling Wilson's probably going to get injured over the international break, or in the run up to these huge fixtures where we're playing Norwich and Burnley in the same week, because he's been in good form. He's looked lively. Obviously, he was unlucky not to get around the keeper and score the other day after scoring against Palace and against Spurs. So he's been huge since he came back. He's done the most he can, like you alluded to earlier in the stream. All he needs is one chance and he scores.
Yeah.
So if he's not there, you worry where the goals will come from, really, especially without having to get a January first and getting someone else in. Would have to make amends for it. Players that have been here for bloody ever now, Dwight Gale, who got about 4 seconds the other day. It's just mental, in it. When you look around, you do think the job in his hands, the job in Eddie's hands is huge. Like, with that squad we've got and the where we are in the league. Well,
again, this is the thing, you know, we're talking about changes that we want to see happen at the weekend or in 2 weeks' time. Again, I think there will be changes. I think formationally there will be changes. Hopefully, pressing the ball better. Hopefully, people will know where to stand for a change. But ultimately, we've got about, I don't know how many do you want to say, 14 players to pick from. Like, considering meant to have a squad of 25, about 10 of them are nowhere near playable. So as much as we might see Lewis come in, maybe we'll see Almiron, Joe Linton. I'd like to see Manquillo back in the side instead of Murphy. I thought Manquillo's been one of our better performing players this season, so I don't know why the hell he got dropped against Brighton. But again, I mean, that's what, 2-3 players? I mean, Gale's not getting in. I don't want to see Hendrick. If anything, I don't want to see Shelvey. We've got a lot of people there that Eddie Howe is going to, in theory, have to work with, but we're not even going to see them. I think it's going to be the same personnel, just standing in a different position. Hopefully the right position.
Well, that'll be one big improvement, to be placed players in the right position. But that's the thing in Aldo, where like Shelvey was saying, he was the first player to be interviewed after this takeover, and he was saying how excited he was and how much he wanted to improve and be here for the long term, be part of this project. First game back against Spurs, comes on, within 5 minutes he's sent off. Do you know what I mean? These players are just so done. Mitrovic there. Yeah, I think has he scored 20 goals already, and it's only November. Something ridiculous, isn't it?
My friend was saying something about if he continues this score rate by the end of the season, he'll have 60 goals or something. So yeah, he's banging them in.
So is
he have Mitro back?
I was going to say, is he too good for the Championship? It looks that way. Is he a Dwight Gale where he's sheer in the Championship and Riviere in the Premiership? Do you know? It's like where's the balance? I'm not sure there's much balance there with Mitro. I mean, I think he could do a job. I don't know if I'd have him back in Newcastle, but then in terms of if Wilson gets injured or if you're going to play 4-4-2, which Howe likes to do, then it could be a shout. Is he more mature now? Is he calmed down from being an absolute raging lunatic? You know what I mean? Has he got rid of his rage? So you could give him a punt. Like, I mean, I think it's a matter of time before somebody else does. I think we'll definitely see him back in the Premier League. If it's not with them, who's going to come back up probably. But I mean, if I was a Norwich, and I'm saying that, we're pretty much Norwich when they're in the same situation, to be fair. But teams in a relegation battle, I'd be looking at bringing in Mitro in, to be fair. So that does include us, to be honest. So maybe that's the answer. You know, take a punt on Mitro.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think he works hard. I think again, we want players who are going to work hard, but at the same time, we also need players who are going to bring quality, you know, and are going to put the ball in the net. And as much as I absolutely loved Mitro when he was here, and I think his die-hard attitude was something that other players could really learn from. I just think that although he's smashing it in the Championship, in our situation right now, I think there's hopefully other options. I mean, if he was the only option and we needed a striker, then I'd say yeah. But I think ideally I'd rather see us try and snap up someone with a little bit more to give than just a great attitude.
Yeah. And I know you did a video on this, Rob. You keep ourselves thing, and Brian's asking how we're all talking about signing him, and everyone. Who do we sell come January? Well, pretty much everyone, really, isn't it? If you could, if it was the summer, you'd get rid of most of them. I think you look around, I'd sell Kieran Clark, I'd sell Shelvey, I'd sell Hendrick, I'd sell Gale, I'd sell the majority of them, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of players that have been here for too long that need moved on.
Yeah. Well, when I did that Keep Myself video, I mean, it's a good 30-minute video. You know, if anyone wants to watch it, then please feel free to check it out. But honestly, I could have done that video in 30 seconds. I could have just said, right, we'll keep Dubravka, we'll keep St. Max, we'll keep Willock, we'll keep Wilson. The rest of them, get them out, and we'll start again. But like you just said there, you know, going into a January, I think ultimately we can only keep. Again, like if we go out and buy 10 new players in January, it's just going to be like, you know, you've seen it with players like teams like QPR who went out and spent loads of money really quick, and then things just don't fit. I think Eddie Howe's a lot smarter than that, and he'll probably already have a few names like you mentioned, Ake and previous links to try and bring people in. But you know, ultimately, I think players like straight away off the top of your head, you know, get Gale out, get Hendrick out. Again, Clark, I think, is done, unfortunately. You know, that's 3 players that I think I'd quite happily just watch walk away into the sunset. And then that's three spaces to bring 3 more players in. You know, ultimately, we've got about 14 players who actually get a game at the minute. The other 10 are sat out in the stands, never doing it. Like, Dummett there, Dummett never fit. You know, Dummett, why is he in the squad if he's never going to play? That's another one. So yeah, we can definitely remove 5 to 6 players without even breaking a sweat to bring new people in January.
Mm-hmm. Because the problem is why these players have been here so long. I mean, the defeat against Chelsea, I think 5 or 6 of the players that started were here 5 or 6 years ago in the Championship. And that says all you need to know, because it was cheaper for Ashley to keep these players and keep them on the contract, just renewing it rather than spending 10, 20 million on replacing them. So that's why they're still here, and that's why there's so much deadwood. Brandon there's asking, would you sell Manquillo? I'd probably keep him for now, to be honest. I think Manquillo has been pretty decent this season. I think he's been pretty decent. He was obviously quality at Old Trafford where he scored, but I would keep him for now. I like Jacob Murphy as well. I think Murphy came in at the weekend, did all right, but again, better going forward the defensively. I think Howe would be more. I think Howe, believe it or not, is going to start playing people in the position and actually buy defenders to defend. As mad as that sounds, because like he'll like a Murphy further forward, and he'll like Richie further forward, like he did in the days at Bournemouth. But you'll be signing defenders. I think maybe Max Aaron's at right back. Maybe you didn't get Jamal Lewis going at left back, who used to obviously play at Norwich with Max Aaron's. Then that's what we can see. But I think I'm not sure if there's that much room for improvement with Manquillo, though. He's not exactly in his younger days now, is he? How old is he? He's past his prime now. He's late 20s, pretty much in there. So
yeah, I think the one thing that for me anyway that goes for Manquillo, and I know this isn't really the way you're meant to look at players. You should just look at their overall, how well do they do. But one thing I like about Manquillo is he came in, cost a £5, and then he did really well. You can look at the other way. Kraft came in, he cost 5 million, and he's not very. He's like Kraft isn't good. But the thing is, he didn't cost very much. So when he plays crap, you just go, well, what the hell do you expect? I think Manquillo didn't cost very much either, but then he has over-exceeded what I expected him to do, which kind of makes you feel kind of like happy that he's been able to do it. But and then the other side of the coin is Joe Linton. He probably gets more stick than he deserves because of the fact that he did cost so much.
Mm-hmm. And we mentioned earlier Kieran Trippier, and as Geordie says there, what he asks there, was he at Burnley? And he was at Burnley with Eddie Howe, Kieran Trippier. So
was he?
Yeah, he was.
Oh wow!
In the Championship days, well, Trippier and Howe. So there could be a link there. More people saying, can he get the best out of the likes of Sean Longstaff, who was thriving under Rafa? Who else could we bring back? People mentioning Tony and Mikel Merino and all these players. I mean, we should also look forward, like, instead of just trying to put together a team of bloody FIFA 15. we can keep on going forward. Like, loads of comments there. Willock as well. I think Willock's going to be decent under Eddie Howe, because Harry Orta was his box to box at Bournemouth. I think Willock can do a quality job of that. We're seeing the runs he was making in the box last season, the goals he was scoring. So let's hope we can get the best out of Willock. But obviously, Willock's still struggling with that bloody toe injury in his foot. He's still there, still a bit injured, isn't he?
Well, again, this is the thing, and I've seen a comment pop up there about Sean Longstaff. Just 2 years ago he was worth 40 million, and now he can't kick a ball straight. It's the same with, it's the same with a lot of players. It's the same with Willock. Sean Longstaff was a great player. Just because he's out of form now doesn't mean that he can't still be that player. Willock came in and saved us from relegation and scored 8 goals in 8 games, whatever the hell it was. Just because he's had a little bit of bad form does not mean by any stretch that he can't be that player again. And I do think that, like we've spoken about, Eddie Howe sitting down with a player and actually talking about what they want from them. Someone like Willock will really thrive under that, rather than, because effectively what happened last season was Bruce brought him on and just went, go on, son, give it a go. And he was just right place, right time. He was very astute as to where to be on the pitch. And then obviously coming into this season, he's been injury prone. He's been getting played when he shouldn't have been. He's been on injections. I mean, that kind of stuff is just so just deluded for me. Is if someone's injured, just don't play them for a bit. I mean, one thing it does show is just the pressure that these guys are under, and the fact that we haven't got enough players. The fact that we're asking someone with a broken foot to have an injection and play anyway, and then he plays rubbish, and then he gets loads of stick. I mean, you're throwing this poor kid under the bus for what? So we could lose it. So we could lose. It's just crazy. So no, I wish him the speediest of recoveries, because I hope he can come back and start doing what we know he can do.
Especially putting him under that much pressure at the start of the season. If you're bringing him in and we've got 5 games to go and we need to win 4 of them to stay up, then people are going to ask you to put your body on the line and stuff. But when it was bloody September, a couple weeks into the season, you're saying, "Oh, you need an injection to JJ, mind, please." How are you, man? You shouldn't be doing that. It could long-term damage for him. But if that's the crack, and that's fantastic news. I can't wait to see the back of can't wait to see the back of Lee Charnley. Get a couple more comments in. We'll finish off the stream in the next few minutes or so, I reckon.
Okay.
Been going nearly an hour and a half now. 600 people watching. Please like and subscribe while you're here. Thank you. Matty Longstaff, currently on loan at Aberdeen. Big hopes from when he burst onto the scene with that goal against Man United and showed glimpses. Bruce obviously didn't fancy him at all. What do you reckon? Any future in the black and white for the local lad?
I want there to be. Again, we've spoken about Eddie Howe, making the most of these players and making them outperform or even just perform the way they should. I think Matty and Sean playing together in the centre of the park played really well together. You look at how Longstaff plays with Shelvey and it just all goes down the pan. You look at how Sean Longstaff plays with Hayden, and it looks way better. And it was the same when he played alongside Matty. I think obviously they're brothers, so they know how to play together. Maybe that's a partnership that Eddie Howe could look at and see how he does. I mean, I don't know how he's done up at Aberdeen, to be honest with you. So for all I know, he could be having a stinker.
I see him. I'm not sure. I think the first 2 games he was class. They said he was like the man of the match, and then I think the 3rd or 4th game he didn't really play, and then someone saying that he hasn't scored at Aberdeen yet. It's not all about goals though from where he is, but I'm not sure his overall play has been and how he's really got on at Aberdeen. We'll have to ask some fans up there about that. But obviously, he looked good for us at times. Big up Singapore. Love Singapore. Been there before. What formation do you think Howe will play with our current players? Yeah, he's 4-4-2 or 4-4-1. I think you'll get straight away on the training ground with that tomorrow and try and get that implemented on the side. Or if you like, Robbie thinks he's going to stick the 5 at the back. So we'll see. Might keep the tried and trusted method, which is tried and trusted in how to not win. So hopefully he doesn't. Let's change it up, because the current one's not working, is it? The 5 at the back isn't working. So why would you keep 5 at the back? Why would you? I think something similar could be said about Elliot Anderson in terms of Matty Longstaff. I'm not sure how much game time he'll get. Obviously, we've got the FA Cup coming up in January. You could get a sniff there if you're playing like a lower league side away, maybe. Especially we're still in the relegation battle. Obviously, we've got to focus on that before we think about cup runs just yet, I think. But we should still obviously try and do our best in the cup. Looking forward to a cup run, hopefully. How much do you think Eddie Howe will focus on cups, Rob?
Well, this is the thing. You talk about FA Cup coming up in January time or whatever. In previous seasons for us, it was a huge. The cups were huge because we know we're not going to get anything other than staying in the Prem. Well, can we at least see a cup run? So it was massive to us. I think the priorities have changed a little bit now, just because of the fact that there's a new owner in. And as much as it's still going to take a little bit of time, hopefully just staying up every season will be a thing of the past in 4 or 5 years' time. And because of that, if I would forego the cup runs just to know that we can hopefully in 4 or 5 years' time be having a bit of a better time. But again, you've spoken about the FA Cup not being until January. Maybe if Eddie Howe can get this team working by January, who knows, maybe we can be in a bit of a safer position where we can actually go out and play these games. And also, if it's in January, maybe we could have 2 or 3 new players who can help boost the squad, so we're not just playing the same players over and over.
I might have a little bit of breathing space come January, hopefully, maybe a couple of debuts. Like you say, they've got people through the door early, which I'm sure they'll have the list drawn up
I
with
hope
potential
so.
signings. If you believe the papers, they were already signing Coutinho and everyone else. So he'll
That's
be
true.
there. Philip Coutinho will be here January 1st. Big night out. Straight. He'll be playing at Southampton on the 2nd. Philip Coutinho and the rest of them, apparently. So we'll see.
Well,
he's being there. Bournemouth in the FA Cup's bound to happen. Well, it can't be Sunderland. Another year without a derby goes by as Sunderland got knocked out of the very first round at the Stadium of Light to Mansfield. So still no derby this year. But it might be Middlesbrough. Might get Middlesbrough. Who knows? Right then, I think that'll do for this stream. We've been going on for an hour and a half, 90 whole minutes there. Better than Newcastle 90 minutes you've seen all this season, I'm sure. Make sure you just follow Rubenstein. I'll put his link in the title once this video is up. Big shout out everyone that's joined in throughout the stream, commented on the stream. Please like the stream while you're here. Please subscribe while you're here. And cheers to you, Rob. Cheers for your time tonight, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having us. As I say, there's going to be plenty to talk about over the next 2 weeks. And then, as I say, hopefully come the 20th of November, we will see the match we're excited for, and hopefully we'll get a result as well.
Bloody hope so, mate. Plenty more videos coming your way across the international break. Maybe back tomorrow, if not, be back throughout the week as we're here and wait for more on Eddie Howe. We wait for his first training session tomorrow. We'll wait for his first press conference, and we'll wait for everything else of how things will go on. Wait for his backroom staff to come through the door, and hopefully wait for our first win of the season, which is still a week to go. International break.
Yeah.
Boring stuff. Never mind. Right. Cheers, everyone. Subscribe to the Magpie Channel on TV. Subscribe to Rubenstein. We'll see you later.